What's happening, people? My name is Robbie. Today we are talking about some titans like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Alan Sugar and a couple others. But before we begin, I wanted to let everyone know I have made my first investment in this channel. I'm of the opinion that if something's worth doing, it is worth doing right. So I've decided to get shot of this iPhone that I'm currently filming on. Currently it is balanced on the books I'm actually about to tell you about, but just above it is my new toy, the Sony ZV-1. So the quality of the video should improve pretty massively actually as of now. So I hope this has made a considerable difference from the previous clip to now. And now that the video quality has improved, I'm going to have to start paying more attention to my appearance because I haven't really cared since Christmas.
It's been 84 years.
I haven't had a haircut since about the 18th of December and it shows. So in return for this monumental effort of buying a new camera, you could do me one favour. You can hit like on the video, and if you really want to do me a favour, you could subscribe. The target for March is to hit 250 subscribers by the end of the month. We're currently sitting at 147, and it's come to my attention that 56% of viewers are not subscribed. So click the big red button below, and we can begin. Right, now that's out of the way, let's get into it. So I got a decent response from the video a couple of weeks ago, the 5 books that young investors should be reading, and being the avid reader that I am, I thought I'd make another one with a few other book recommendations. But today we're talking about biographies and autobiographies. Whenever people look for recommendations on books and comment on people's videos asking for recommendations for books, it's always this motivational theory of business type of books. They'll talk mindset, they'll talk theory, they'll talk the stock market, and they'll tell you all of the things in theory. For example, things like the 4-hour work week, the slight edge, start with why, lean startup. These are all amazing books and there's obviously so much you can learn from them, and there's reasons that these get recommended time and time again. But sometimes it can be hard to implement the things that you read in books without knowing where to start. It's really difficult to implement things that you read in a book if you're reading about someone acquiring an airline or a developer buying a full skyscraper building. You can't do that yourself. Starting from zero, you can't do that. But if you read an autobiography or a biography, you can find out how someone started when they were in a position closer to me or you. In my opinion, sometimes there's more to be learned from a book like this than a book on the theory of business. If there's a particular industry that you work in or that you aspire to work in, there will more than likely be someone who's already at the top of their game who has written a book about themselves, or someone has written a book about them. So you can learn exactly how they got to where they are today and hear about all the mistakes they've made so you can avoid them, hear about all the things they've done right so you can emulate that, and hopefully you can get to where you want to be a lot quicker. So in this video I'm going to tell you about 5 autobiographies or biographies that I recommend if someone asks me about it. And a little side note, if you are interested in any of these books, I'll put links in the description for all of them, and I'll also include a link to Audible. If you click through that link you'll get a 30-day free trial, and you'll get a free book that you can keep even if you cancel the trial, just in case you prefer listening to books over reading them. I know a lot of people do. It's nice to listen to a book in the car rather than reading it, and you can do 2 things at once. So let's stop messing about, let's get into the books. Book number 1, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. So Shoe Dog, as you can probably see from the cover, there's a big Nike tick on there. This is the story of Phil Knight, the founder and creator of Nike. Is it Nike or is it Nike? Siri, how do you pronounce Nike? How do I pronounce Nike? Hey Siri, how do I pronounce Nike?
I found an answer. It's displayed on your iPhone.
Oh, that did not have the desired effect. I'll just Google it.
Nike.
Okay, Nike. I see Nike. Okay, Nike. So Phil founded a company called Blue Ribbon Sports in 1964 alongside his track coach in university, Bill Bowerman. In 1971, the first employee, Jeff Johnson, at Blue Ribbon Sports suggested that they rename the company to Nike. Everyone knows Nike, as far as I'm aware. You can't go anywhere on the planet without someone recognising this logo. Who knows the story of how Nike actually came about? How was it founded? Not that many people until this book was released in 2016, apparently. So I'll try and give a summary of the book without giving away too much. Spoiler alert, Nike becomes pretty successful. So the book talks about how Phil Knight was an avid runner from a young age. So when choosing his university, he went to the University of Oregon. This decision was helped along due to the fact that they had a famous track program run by coach Bill Bowerman. After graduating at Oregon and then getting an MBA at Stanford University, Phil decided he was going to take a round the world trip before he got to full-time work. While he was on this trip, he discovered a company called Onitsuka Tiger. Taking a massive risk, he decided to place an order while he was there for a large shipment of Onitsuka Tiger shoes that he could then sell back home in America. This was the first step, pardon the pun, into the shoe game, and Blue Ribbon Sports was founded in Phil Knight's parents' home. Fast forward 16 years and Nike went public on the stock exchange with a share price of $10.50. This made Phil Knight's share in the business worth $178 million in 16 years. Phil and his family have an estimated net worth of $29 billion today. They currently sit 25th on the Forbes Rich list. I recommend this book to anyone looking to get into business, interested in business, entrepreneurship, sport. It's just a really good story. Book number 2, Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. So I think we all know who this guy is. If you don't, have a look in your pocket or your laptop bag. You probably own some sort of technology that came about thanks to this guy. So this book was written by Walter Isaacson. He was an executive at CNN and Time magazine, and he's written biographies about Benjamin Franklin and Albert Einstein. Steve Jobs personally asked Walter to write the biography about him. So Benjamin Franklin, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs. He obviously held himself in high regard when he chose this author. So Steve Jobs, I would be quite surprised if anybody doesn't know who he is, but for the sake of that one person who might not know, this guy co-founded Apple alongside Steve Wozniak and Ronald Wayne. So the book takes us from Steve's childhood in San Francisco in 1955 all the way up to the day that he died in 2011. There's 56 incredible years crammed into this book. It's pretty thick for that reason. It takes you from Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, starting with around $1,500 and selling circuit boards in the 1970s, through to taking Apple public with a valuation of $1.79 billion in 1980. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows though. Steve actually resigned from Apple in 1985 after some disputes and arguments with the CEO at the time, John Sculley. A year later, he funded a new company called the Graphics Group, but you'd probably know this company a little bit better as Pixar. Within a year of resigning from one of the most successful tech companies on the planet, he decided that he wanted to stay working with computers and went down the graphic design route instead. And if you look at the credits for Toy Story, Pixar's first movie, Steve Jobs is the executive producer. As we all know, Toy Story, pretty successful movie. This turned out to be number 21 of the highest grossing films of all time at the time it was released. And contrary to popular belief, it wasn't Apple that made Steve Jobs a billionaire, it was Pixar. Steve Jobs had health problems, and in 2011 he passed away due to complications with pancreatic cancer. He obviously leaves a massive legacy behind, and chances are some of you are watching this video right now on an Apple device or have something like this in your pocket thanks to Steve Jobs. Book number 3, Losing My Virginity by Richard Branson. Losing My Virginity is an autobiography by Richard Branson. This was written in 1998. Richard is still with us today, as most of you will know, and he's still a very active businessman and investor. I like that this book was written back in the 90s because the most exciting aspect, like mentioned before, is the startup phase and how he went from a young man with relatively no money to being as successful as he is. So it's great hearing the whole story from start to finish like the Steve Jobs book, but there's a lot more information to take for the average person like myself, like you most likely, on how this person started their business and grew it from nothing. Because doing big business like starting an airline, like your man Richard Branson, it's not achievable from your spare room or from your bedroom at your parents' house and you're doing it evenings and weekends out with your full-time job. It's not achievable. But Richard Branson started a student magazine. That was his first proper business. You could do that from your spare room, you could do that from your bedroom. So Richard Branson has started a lot of companies, like a ridiculous amount of companies. So I'll just quickly summarise what businesses he's been involved in, and if you want the actual nitty gritty you can pick this book up. So in the 60s he started a magazine called Student, and you guessed it, it was aimed at students. They tried to steer away from the boring newsletter style thing where it was just up to date news on what was happening at university and things like that, and focused more on pop culture, popular music and things that were happening in the world that students might find interesting. He then followed on from Student to start Virgin Records. The name Virgin, which even the publishers are called Virgin, that came from one of his employees when they were just starting Virgin Records because they were all new to business, they were all virgins at business. Virgin Records would quickly go on to sign the likes of the Sex Pistols, the Rolling Stones and UB40, who were all top of the game at the time. Just ask your parents. So moving on from Virgin Records, Richard Branson decided that he wanted to start an airline. The story goes that he was stuck in Puerto Rico and he was trying to get home. The flight was cancelled and him and everybody else that was on that flight were stranded. So he's got on the phone and he's chartered a plane. He's also invited everyone else that was stranded to come on the plane with him and just charged them a small fee just to cover the cost. This gave him the idea that starting an airline was possible, and he formed Virgin Atlantic and Virgin Cargo in 1984, followed by Virgin Holidays in 1985, and they provide package holidays. So without going into detail of every single company Richard Branson has started, because we'll be here all day, here's a quick list of the other companies that Richard Branson has started. I'm going to have to look at my laptop for this. Virgin Rail, Virgin Mobile, Virgin Blue, Virgin Galactic, Virgin Nigeria, Virgin America, Virgin Fuels, Virgin Comics, Virgin Money, Virgin Healthcare, Virgin Racing, Virgin Hotels, Virgin Cola, Virgin Cars, Virgin Publishing, and Virgin Clothing. So I'm not going to go into every single company. If you want to learn about these companies, you know what to do. Click the link in the description. Okay, book number 4, Elon Musk by Ashley Vance. So this one's a little bit different to the others. Elon Musk's only 49. He's still pretty early in his life to have a biography written about him, but he has obtained the title of richest man in the world already. He's lost that title again, but he did have it. He's currently sitting third behind Jeff Bezos and Bernard Arnault. So this book was written by Ashley Vance after over 30 hours of conversation with Elon Musk. So they start right from the beginning. Elon Musk being born in South Africa, he then moved to Canada when he was 17 to go to university. 2 years later, he moved to Pennsylvania to complete his dual bachelor's degree in economics and physics. After graduating, Elon Musk started a company called Zip2. This company was to help local newspapers design city guides for the city that they are in. For example, they could help Glasgow design a city guide for tourists in Glasgow. This company was later acquired for $307 million, and that netted Musk $22 million for his 7% share. Next up was X.com. This was an email payment platform for sending money online to people before online banking was as much of a thing as it is today. So this company went on to merge with a company called Confinity, and they also had a money transfer system, but it was better than the one that X.com had. This system was called PayPal. The whole company was later renamed to PayPal in 2001, and a year later eBay came along, bought the company for $1.5 billion. This time Musk made over $100 million for his 11.7% share in PayPal. So since the sale of PayPal, he's founded a handful of companies. The most popular are SpaceX and Tesla. I'm sure most people have heard of both of those. So Tesla, as we all know, is an electric car company, which recently became the most valuable car company in the world. They make some of the most exciting electric cars on the market at the moment, and the most recent incarnation of the Model S, due to be released in 2021, will exceed speeds of 200 miles per hour and will go from 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds, which is just mind-boggling. SpaceX operates in the space industry, hence the name, and to be completely honest, this industry and this company is way too complex for me to even try and explain. What I do know is they plan to put humans on Mars, which is a bold enough task in itself to make you consider buying this book and find out how did Elon Musk go from 17-year-old moving to Canada to go to university to trying to put humans on the moon. On Mars. Not the moon. Putting humans on Mars. All in the space of about 30 years. That's crazy. This one isn't quite as big as the other books, so you could probably bang this out in a week if you sat down and really wanted to get through it. And now on to the 5th and final book, What You See Is What You Get by Alan Sugar. So as you can see here, there's coffee and all sorts spilled on this. This was the first business book that I bought. I think I was 18 at the time. I was working in retail, selling t-shirts and jumpers and stuff like that. I wasn't making a lot of money. I think I was on an 8-hour contract per week. I think my monthly wage, if I only worked my contracted hours, was about £125 a month. I seen this book in Asda and I thought, if there's anyone that knows how to get rich, Alan Sugar knows how to get rich. So I thought, if I buy the book, read how he done it, maybe there's something I can glean off of that. So Alan Sugar is probably best known for his role in The Apprentice. In Britain, I would say he's a household name. Most people know who he is, and that's probably due to The Apprentice. But this book shows you how he got to that point in life. He wasn't born into this. He doesn't have a show business background. He had to work very hard to get where he is before The Apprentice was a possibility. So Alan Sugar was born in Hackney in London in 1947, and at age 21 he started a company called Amstrad, which was short for Alan Michael Sugar Trading. This was a company who manufactured and sold home computers and the kind of top of the range technology at the time. So he worked in that company and they took it public. He worked there his whole life up until 2007 when his remaining stake in the company was acquired by BSkyB. They acquired his remaining stake for £125 million, but he still has his other AMS companies. So there's AMSprop, which is his property investment company, and they hold the majority of his £1.2 billion property investment portfolio. AM's Air, so they offer business and executive jets to be chartered. And AM's Screen, you'll maybe see those big advertising screens in train stations, petrol stations, airports, and they're just big advertising screens. So this book, it's pretty thick. It's 641 pages. So this one might take you a while because it's so hefty. Like I said, when I was 18, I bought this to try and learn how to make money. It took me about 6 months to read this because at 18, I prioritised the pub, nightclubs, the skate park, Netflix, just about anything that could be prioritised over reading books. I was going to do that instead. I've actually read this twice because the first time took me 6 months. After the second time round though, this book was the one that got me hooked on reading business books and got me really interested in reading about business. I think reading books is probably one of the best ways to learn about your chosen subject, in this instance business. Well people, I think that will do it for the biographies for today. I hope you can take some sort of tangible information from them like I did, and I seriously think that if you can just make the time, patch Netflix or the PlayStation for an hour or so, pick up a book, I think it'll do the world of good. As always, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button below and leave any comments on suggestions on what type of content you'd like to see on the channel. I'm always looking for ways that I can improve this, and the best way to improve is to get feedback from everyone watching. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I will see you on Friday. Take it easy.